This is Design Safe Radio, where natural hazards researchers strive to make our society more resilient to everything nature throws at us.
Hey, hello, and welcome to another episode of Design Safe Radio. I'm your host, Dan Zahner, and today I'm really excited that we have Rachel Davidson from the University of Delaware joining us from the newly minted CHEERHub. Rachel, it's good to see you.
Hi, yeah, it's nice to be here.
Why don't you introduce yourself, a little bit about who you are and where you're from, and then we'll get into talking about CHEER.
Sure. So I'm a professor in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the University of Delaware. I'm also a core faculty member in the Disaster Research Center here. And my research really focuses all on natural disaster risk modeling, risk assessment, risk management, that kind of thing.
Excellent. So one of the things that we like to highlight on the show is that different networks dedicated to mitigating damage from natural hazards. Everyone's always asking about that. Can you give us an overview of the CHEERHub that is now getting going, what it's about, and what are some of its goals?
Yeah, sure. So it's a 5-year project. It's funded through the National Science Foundation as part of their Coastlines and People program. We have, I think, 26 researchers and about the same number of students and postdocs across 11 universities.
Wow.
The country. We also have some grassroots community organizations that are partners and some practitioner partners, and a couple of education and research kind of partners. So it's a pretty big endeavor. It's really exciting. And basically the focus is on improving coastal resilience. But we hypothesize that part of the reason we haven't been able to really get a handle on this problem as a society is because we're not addressing the competing goals of economic prosperity.
Yeah.
So, and also not finding equitable solutions that address the most vulnerable. So, like if the only goal was to reduce losses from hurricanes, we know how to do that. Just don't build anything in any hazard areas.
Everything behind my head. Just don't build anything there.
Exactly. So don't build anything in Houston, and you know, or spend a lot of money to make very strong structures. But you know, there's these competing goals that communities want to have a flourishing economy, and so that solution doesn't really work. And then also so basically when we ignore that, I think we end up with solutions that aren't implemented or they're not sustainable. Right. So, and then at the same time, when the people most affected aren't adequately addressed, then they end up in this cycle of being affected by disasters over and over, and exacerbating or replicating these patterns of inequality within the country. So that's what the CHEERHub is about. It's in the name, is coastal hazards, equity, economic prosperity, and resilience. So, I mean, each of those 3 goals is a pretty huge topic.
Yeah.
So it sounds crazy to focus on all of them, but we really think that it's the tension among them is a big part of what is causing, or, you know, is one of our big barriers. And so that's really what the CHEERHub focuses on, is trying to understand the interactions among those and within the dynamic context of climate change.
Yeah.
So that's where we're focused, and it's a pretty big scope.
Yeah, it is, but it sounds like it's tackling a really common problem in many disciplines, where you have really, really smart engineers and scientists come up with an extremely, good technical solution. But these people, I say these people like I'm not one of them. These people have never actually built anything. Like my background's mechanical engineering, and I fell into the trap of prescribing these wonderfully elegant technical solutions that didn't take reality of like welding things to get into account.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could also be great technical solutions, and they could be, very implementable from a technical point of view, but a lot of what we know about how to design for hurricanes and other hazards isn't actually reflected in our built environment, because in between there, you have to have people and organizations take specific actions to implement those things, and they often don't. And so that's where I think there's a big part of the challenge. And so what we're really focused on is trying to design policies that account for the way people make decisions. So rather than saying, here's our technical solution and here's what we think is best for the community, and now, hand it off to some social scientist or
Good luck.
somebody and say, like, here, go convince people to do this. That doesn't seem to work entirely. So instead, we're saying, let's understand how people make decisions and account for that in the design of the policy solution so that they're more likely to actually be implemented.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's the basic approach. It's also, I should mention, this big group of people is pretty evenly split across different disciplines, across physical scientists, engineers, social scientists of various types. So no one discipline gets to kind of govern how to do it.
You don't just get the structural engineers going, well, you just need to build it like this, and then everybody else like, well, okay, I guess so. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Design Safe Radio. Be sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you happen to be listening to this on. It really helps people find our show. Thanks to our amazing sponsors, the National Science Foundation and the NHERI Network Coordination Office, which is award number 2129782. Big thank you to Marty LaChance, our guest booker and topic researcher extraordinaire, and Raquel Ruiz, who is our video and audio editor. I'm your host and NHERI Facility Scheduling and Operations Coordinator, Dan Zahner. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay resilient.